My name is Enoh Ogbevire. This morning we're looking at a meeting by PDP governors backing the ban on open grazing by the southern governors. They met last week Tuesday, and yesterday in Ibadan we had the PDP governors meeting. So at the end of the meeting, a communique was read by its chairman, Governor Aminu Tambuwal. This is what part of what it said.
It support earlier position taken by the Nigerian Governors Forum, Northern Governors Forum, and recently by the Southern Governors Forum to adopt ranching as the most viable solution to the hardest farmers' clashes in Nigeria. The structuring of the Nigerian Federation to devolve more power of various civil institutions to achieve efficiency and equity for all sections of Nigeria.
The evolution of powers, that has come up again. Another thing they said was for the president to immediately send an executive bill to the National Assembly to amend the Nigerian Constitution. Listen to this.
The meeting reiterated our earlier goal of the National Assembly to expedite action on the passage of the Electoral Act that will ensure a free and fair election, including provisions for electronic accreditation and electronic transmission of votes.
All right, so we're going to look at some of the hurdles that the governors may face in the course of moving from just talk to action. I've got a lawyer on the phone, Henry Ekine. He joins me from Port Harcourt, and we will talk about some of the issues and how, if anything would happen, what needs to happen first. Good morning, Henry. Thank you for joining us on Nigerian for this morning.
Yes, good morning, I know.
All right, so let's start with what's going on? It's noisy where you are. Do I call you again?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so let's start with the evolution of. Apologies, the line is noisy.
The clocks were striking midnight, and Nigeria was on the threshold of independence.
To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic.
Ask not what your country can do for you.
It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty,
Sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners,
but also of compassion, sacrifice,
this government threw my mother out of window.
courage,
The Iron Lady of the Western World.
and kindness.
When we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.
His story on Nigeria Info. Tuesdays, 1:30 p.m. Thursday, 9 p.m. Sunday, 6:30.
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life.
History is who we are, why we are the way we are.
This is the Morning Crossfire on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, we're back. Thank you for staying tuned. Henry Ekine is on the phone. Good morning, Henry.
Yes, good morning, I know.
Okay, so we're going to start with. All right, apologies. We'll have to have that conversation without Henry Ekine. There's so much noise on the other end. It's impossible to have that conversation. But on the governors on the other side, the southern governors had a 12-point communique for those that were in the meeting yesterday. PDP governors, they came up with 6. By the way, Governor Yesomike was there as well. So one of the things they want is devolution of powers. They want more powers. And they're saying that the federal government, the president that is, should send an executive order to the National Assembly to ensure that they make this happen legally. But many would say that the Constitution, as it is, there are many things that, powers that the governors already have that they're not using. And there are many things that the Constitution has given powers to that the governors on their own are not, enforcing, chief of which is the matter of local government autonomy. So the law says, let local governments be autonomous. Let them, have their money, develop the areas. And the state governors said, no, you can have that power. But the same state governors are demanding that the federal government, devolve powers. The judiciary, for example, they're not autonomous financially. They're saying, they've been on strike for over a month now, or about a month now, and the governors are still saying, well, no, it's not going to happen. So we have some of these things on one side. And then when it comes to elections, it's almost impossible anywhere in Nigeria for a person who's not in the party in charge of the state. So, for example, PDP, the governor of River State is a PDP member, right? So it's impossible for an APC member to win any seat in any local government election. And, they're also calling for electoral reforms. And one of the things that has come up in this, conversation is you're asking for electoral reforms, but the local elections that you conduct, there's no independence. Your party would, have a landslide victory. Is it because the people love your party or because you're using your powers to manipulate the system? And then at some point in our history, when local governments were local governments as we knew them to be, people didn't want to come to the urban areas. It was so noisy. It was just too busy for people. They had the basic needs, their basic needs met. We had primary schools that were up to standards in local areas. And for that reason alone, the urban migration was very low. People who came to the city did so only when they had to, not because life was so hard and they couldn't get the basic things that they wanted to get in the rural areas. And, at that same time, we saw local governments being responsible, building roads, building schools, and doing the things that local governments are supposed to do. Today, what we see is some state governors doing the work of local governments, and, people are just cheering them on. And what else? Yeah, so some other thing they said, which I think we'll also talk about in the course of this conversation, is that an end to open grazing would fix the farmers' herders clashes. In fact, there's a way that, let me see how it was written. Okay, let me just get to it. It says, the PDP Governors Forum says the ban on open grazing by the South governors is the solution to the herders farmers clashes in the country. And some people are saying, well, in the early days it was what it was, but right now we've moved a bit from the biggest problems we're having now are not directly between the herders and the farmers. It's moved to another level. In recent days, security infrastructure, security agents, and now INEC offices have been attacked, I think 5 or 6 in the last week or so. So they're saying that, yes, primarily in the beginning it was a farmer herders thing, but now we've moved away from that. So how can you say that the solution, the solution, this is, once this is done, there won't be any farmer herders clashes again, a ban on open grazing? And they said that ranching remains the most viable solution to the herders farmers clashes in Nigeria. So these are the things that we'll talk about. If you'd like to join the conversation, 0817923. Devolution of powers is one on its own, and of course the open grazing being the solution to farmers herders clashes. 0817923 0817923 0817923 are the numbers to call. Please put off your radio. We've got this call screener back, so just calling if you can. We're on Twitter at Nigerian for PH. You're on WhatsApp 08090306416. Facebook at Nigeria Info PH. Good morning. You're on. Hello. Good morning. Okay, Nsikak Johnson writes on Facebook, he says, it's too late for restructuring. We want Biafra, light and darkness kind of all walk together. Okay, he's talking about the restructuring that, the governor's asking for. Ainda believes that the herders should relocate to the north. Joel Unzubwehi. Venice Irisoaga says it's sponsored, all this insecurity. Even if it's sponsored, what's the way out? There has to be a way out. 08179230002, 08179230003. You're on Facebook, 0809. If you're on WhatsApp, rather, 08090306416 is the number to send your messages to. 08090306416, WhatsApp only. Hello?
Good morning, my sister.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm Obin now. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, let's hear you.
My sister, I think we are looking for solution. This farmers and Fulani header clash. Because of people are not coming out to be sincere to the people. You know that in Ghana, they have adopted ranches. They used to have this issue of killer herdsmen problem before. They have adopted ranches, even Cameroon. So why not Nigeria adopt this thing? Is there anything hidden under this activities of this cattle rearing? It's a private business. I tell you. So for should tell themselves to truth, because if people have come out to say, okay, let's stop open grazing and adopt ranches, nobody should oppose it. Because the activity of flow investment have made people being refugees in the community. People have run away in the community. I think Nigerian President Muhammad Buhari should wake up and condemn all this killing of herdsmen. We should adopt ranching.
All right, thank you. He's condemned many times, really. Ike is in OGRA. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Let's hear you. Please put off the radio, walk away from it. Yeah, let's hear you now, Ike.
Yes, please. It's like this governors and all that and the people and the system of government. Why are they explaining all this to the public? Instead of going to Snake and explain to write a memorandum to the state, then the state will debate on it and then forward it to the president. Why are they dragging and people up and down? What is it mean? That is the way government works. It doesn't just work like that. You can't order government. You can't order president to do something. It's people's government. So let them wake up from their slumber. In terms of cattle clearing, I think we'll prefer that. Let's branch the medicine. Let them organize it. Even private citizens can do it as a business. The state. Let them not just start with walking up and down, up and down. It's system, that system of work. Through the Senate, that is how things work. Let them not just keep on talking like native meetings. If they are in the local village meeting, talking.
All right.
Let them follow system of government. This will be in order. Thank you. That's my own advice.
All right. Thank you, Ike. Ihai is in Transamadi. Good morning, Ihai.
Good morning, Enoh. Yes, I want to quickly contribute to something. First and foremost, the issue of open grazing. I don't know why that is even in our discourse. Really, it is not common sense. We should stop discussing these things. We should have gone beyond this. That's my own opinion. It's a no-brainer. Open grazing should end. It's just simple. Let's stop being emotional about it. It should end. it's a personal business that they should go. They should do the right thing. Those who own those businesses.
No,
Then the issue of devolution of power.
Okay, go on.
What they said is right. If you are going to do devolution of power, it should not only be from the federal to the state. It should, the local governments should work, and states should stop usurping the powers of the local government. We are here and we get news of a governor saying that he is sacking a duly elected local government chairman. I don't understand where he gets that powers from. So that is it. And then we should stop hiding behind this issue of devolution. The question is, will this restructuring really help us? There are a lot of water that has gone on, under the bridge that we need to really national discourse. We really need it. We've stopped discussing after the Civil War. Hiding things and not talking about them has not helped us in the past. And what makes people think that not discussing these things will help us going forward?
Well, we've had a few conferences in the past, and at the end there's a white paper, there's a blue paper, and then the person who calls the conference he moves on. He doesn't really implement it. So what is likely to be different now?
They are politically motivated. When I mean a national discourse, I mean something that is citizen-led. I'm not talking about what these politicians will come and lead, send their own representatives. My own village, I don't think my own village was represented in that so-called national discourse. I'm talking about citizen-led national discourse. We need to talk heart to heart. Hiding away and not talking about them, it has not helped us in the past, and I don't think it will help us tomorrow.
All right. Interesting, Ekine. I'm just wondering, where would be that location? Are we going to use the national stadium somewhere? Or all states are going to have stadia and people just gather and have those conversations? If I say let's use Zoom now, then we'll find out we don't have power supply, we don't have a stable network, and everything that would just make it not happen will, come to the fore. This one says, is the herders and farmers clashes responsible for the burning down of police stations, INEC officers, and killing of security officers? If Chukwuwodo is asking that. I'm sure you know the answer. Okay, Zan has left the building. We're Nigerian phone.
Hello, good morning, Enoh.
Good morning.
Yeah, I hope to see my calling from Port Harcourt. I think Nigeria will do not need devolution of power because the governor they want more power to arrogate themselves. What Nigeria needs is sovereign national conference so that Nigerians can come together and discuss how we are going to be governed.
Chima, we had that conversation a few years ago. How did that go?
Sovereign national conference.
Yes, that's what it was called.
Whatever that we agree, there is nothing like any law or legislature or any process. This is how Nigeria is going to go. You understand? That is sovereign national conference. That's what Nigeria needs. You understand? So for the open grazing, I think it's a welcome development. Because, Nigeria, we are always backward in everything. So, people have moved forward. There is nothing like open grazing anymore. You see, in the U.S., you have it everywhere. They even make it very comfortable. When you look at how they do their own grazing, you will even like it. Some people may want to go into it as a business. That's my case. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Open grazing is outdated, but there are many things that we do as well as a country that are outdated. I mean, there are still schools that the kids have to paint the wall black and then the teacher uses the white chalk to write on it in 2021. And I don't mean a state that is somewhere far away. I mean a state like, ours, 2021. But then again, I start to wonder if from the beginning everyone knew that the herding was done on behalf of some very wealthy people, because right now I think a cow goes for about 350,000. So if the cows are owned by a very wealthy person, then why didn't we have the right kinds of conversation from the start? Why were we attacking their food soldiers, their workers, instead of going to the owner of the company to say, hey, this is what your people are doing in the course of carrying out your business, and let's fix it. We keep talking after the commercial. We are Nigerian for Port Harcourt. Stay tuned. 29 minutes before 9 o'clock. 29 minutes gone past 8 o'clock. 30 minutes now before 9 o'clock. We're Niger Info, and we're having this conversation about what the PDP governors have said. They've added their voice to what the Southern governor said a week ago. We say yes to open grazing. We say no to open grazing. Yes to the ban on open grazing. We want restructuring. We want devolution of powers. You know, they just want stuff to happen. I was going to talk to Ekine, but the line is not allowing us. The network is very poor. But, you know, I've read out some of the things that, you know, the conversation seeks to cover. If we've seen state governors influence the police and their workers, we've seen them contribute to logistics of the police. And, you know, someone will start to think, if they can do this, can they strengthen the police in their states? Is it necessarily being in control of the commissioner of police? Is it necessarily calling for a state police so that they can further control the police where they're controlling the local governments? 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0009 are the numbers to call. We're on Twitter at Nigeria Info PH, on Facebook 0809030616. Emmanuel Ojo on Twitter, cattle rearing is private business, ranching is long overdue, no Fulani gives his cattle for free. Why scavenge other farms and ancestral homes? Let them guide themselves and spend money on ranches for their cattle. And I asked before the commercial, how is it that we're just waking up to realizing that cattle rearing is private business? Didn't we always know? Then it's not a cheap business. So whoever is able to own a cattle knows that it's a lot of money. So if they have a lot of money, it means that they're in a certain strata in society. Were we having the wrong conversations for too long? Okonkwo is on NTA Road this morning. Hello, Okonkwo, let's hear you.
Yeah, good morning, Sister Enoh.
Good morning.
I want to start by saying I'm in support of the issue or the suggestions or the decisions of the PDP governors, in addition to the Southern governors, to stop open grazing. The reason is because I have in the southern part of the country, I grew up and I see that we are into farming. We produce and we eat, and we also sell, carry to the market to sell to people.
Subsistence farming. Go on.
Then all of a sudden now, the situation is that these people, they use their cow to destroy the crops of the farmers. So there's no need for that, because it is dangerous if our farming business in the south will be destroyed. Number one is that it will bring shortage of food and the food insecurity in the south, and people will suffer, and there will be poverty. So I'm in support. Let there be no open graze again.
All right.
They should ban it.
All right. Thank you, Okonkwo. I'm just wondering how much of what we produce we eat. How much of it really gets to the market? Because the other day I was in the market, I wanted to buy okra, and they said it was coming from, was it Benue? I was shocked. Mazi, good morning.
Good morning, and how are you?
I'm good. Let's hear you.
And I want to be your journalist this morning. Can I go to somebody's shop and take it by force without paying, without having any agreement? I said I must be here to do my business. Is it possible?
No.
Okay. Now, my concern is, I don't know why. I understand that everybody just being careful the way you talk because of the radio station. But I don't know why we cannot sit down to talk about how to live in unity and in peace. And the people are just doing it as if it is by force. I mean, this is your personal business, and federal government is backing people's business. Just say we can do anything, and nobody will say anything about it. And when you talk about it, it becomes a problem. Your life becomes in danger. I mean, I'm shocked. We are not supposed to, let somebody call, we are not supposed to be discussing this issue at all. But I understand what you are saying. We discuss, understand, we learn to agree. But this is not really supposed to talk about this issue. My things I'm doing now, I'm solving on my own. Nobody cares what I do. They don't even better. These cows that move around. How can you come to my place and beat me up? Say you must make your business to go by force through my own crops. And I don't understand. For me, this is not supposed to be an issue at all. And when I retaliate, it becomes a problem. I did want that will be picked up to go and be locked up. I mean, for me, sometimes I feel like crying when I look at something that's happening.
All right, don't cry for me, Argentina. Steve Rufus says our governors are always quick and united whenever they want something that will increase their powers and protect their selfish interests, but they pretend to be deaf and dumb when it concerns the autonomy of the judiciary and local government chairman. This is hypocrisy taken too far. The worst politicians in Nigeria are the governors. Felix is in Rumudara. Good morning, Felix. Let's hear you.
Good morning.
All right.
Let me tell you, the problem is that this government, to me, I always say this, that the problem we have in Nigeria is the governors. Because always, when you look at it, they want to always have enough powers. Now, you will see that even in national, maybe in the election, they said they want reforms, electoral reforms. Yet in the states, they don't want electoral reforms. The legislature is under their pocket. The judiciary is in their pocket. Even the local government autonomy that even the federal government are signed, yet they still said no way, they will not accept the local government to be autonomous. And what do we want? But when every time they will come, look, let me tell you, the problem of Nigeria is poverty. And if maybe the local government is autonomous and they are doing well, most of these problems will not be there. Because the local government will solve most of the problems. But you hold the local government and they want something to come from the nation. Look, state police in fact, it will be the biggest folly in this country. Because the same way they are controlling the local government, the same way they want to control the police. And that's why they are struggling for the police autonomy, state autonomy for police.
All right.
That's what they want.
All right. Thank you, Felix. Let's go to Christian at UPTH. Good morning, Christian.
Yeah, good morning. No. Yes, I want to start by saying that if you refuse to learn consciously, you will learn through rude awakening. And that's what we are doing now as a people. The issue of cow and the way we talk about it, like somebody said, is a no-brainer. Country where people are serious and coordinated, they are making millions of dollars out of this in foreign exchange. Here we are talking about we and them. Are we aware that most of these time we see that even our people who here own them and just employ these headers to do it? And we are saying, hello?
Yeah, go on.
Hello, yes. And again, the second thing I want to say is that it is dangerous for you to begin to practice or believe what you don't understand. The governor talking about the evolution of power. Do they know that it is the legislator that can change the Nigerian constitution? And we have people who are representing us there, and all they go there is to sleep and talk about things that is not relevant. Don't they understand that this 1999 constitution needs to be amended? What are they working there? Are you telling the president to change the constitution? I feel so sad. People who are supposed to know, is it politicking or what? It's a pity. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. We are still here. Joshua in Mercyland says there was a national conference in 2014 headed by late Justice Idris Kutige. The over 200 recommendations made at that conference are yet to be implemented. The constitution made the sitting of members of the National Assembly 6 months, but they are receiving fat salaries. What are they doing? What are we doing with 306 House of Reps members? What are we doing with 109 senators? What are we doing with them? Why not make it a unicameral legislature or part-time so that those who are genuinely interested can come and serve the nation, sit and go? We can't grow like this. That's what Joshua is saying. Nigeria, can we get it right? Yes, we can. I'm thinking to say it's the education. We cannot grow more than our education as a nation. Then I remember Israel and Palestine conflict, comparing with the U.S. that tolerates any kind of religion. Because indeed in Nigeria, how do we dialogue? How do we even discuss when we have southern governors, northern governors, upsky governors, etc.? Since we all have different values, different ideas, different ambition, how do we make Nigeria grow? And no ideas until I see unity, peace, and stability. I think the politicians are very united in what they want, and they push for it. It's the people who, I'm not sure, know what they're doing. Harry's back on the phone. Harry, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Enoh.
All right, so we've seen different communiques released by governors, whether they want to be South, North, PDP, APC, but they have different things and they want the governor to make a move. What needs to happen for the talk to become action or become law or legal?
Yes, I thank you. I think that what is paramount really is about the commitment and sincerity to whatever the resolutions coming up from those meetings and the communiques would be, and then the will to actually activate those aspirations. It isn't much of legal enablement because much of even the issues that are already raised there are issues that there are enabling laws that have provided one way or the other to several of those issues. And we can find, whether in the Constitution or other enactments of the National Assembly, or of course even laws of states that have addressed or sought to address most of those issues. So, and again, even where we find or where there is absence of required effective law to addressing those issues, it is a simple legislation then. We already have the legislature activated at the national and state levels. And the reason they are there is to make laws to address mischiefs in society. So, to me, really, it's good that they convoked the meetings they did. It is good that they are congregating their ideas, coming together at different levels. It is good that they are beginning to be focused on the issues they have raised. But whether these issues are novel, to me, is not quite. And also whether there are legal frameworks, that is enabling laws, that seem to seek to address these issues. Yes, there are. Like I said, if there isn't, then of course it's a thing that the state legislature and the National Assembly could just legislate.
Yeah, but there are already laws. You know, we have these laws that nobody cares about, that everyone is breaking, even those in office. So how would this be different in any way?
So that's why I started really by saying that I think for me, what we should search for here now is the commitment and the determined will to activate these aspirations, so that it won't just be coming to be just cosmetic in a way that we've always seen politicians act out. And that's why, listening to your program, I think one of the callers actually made the point. It's about the people-driven ideology, people-driven ideas, and people-driven aspirations that probably what this country needs at the time. And that's why the civil society organizations, I think, need to take the next stage, the next step. And of course, the people have to actively participate, even as enabled by our Constitution, that the people indeed are sovereign, and then they have the right to participate in determining what affects their lives and their affairs. So much of all the challenges we are seeing today, whether it's insecurity, the call for devolution of powers, the call for restructuring, and what that actually means is more conceptual than being concrete. What are actually those issues we want to be restructured in Nigeria? What are actually the definite issues that we think that are lacking, that are not provided already in our Constitution? However we condemn the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, it remains the Constitution of this country. And I can tell you, Enoh, and those who are listening, that to a large extent, it has the structure of what the constitution of any country would be, beginning from each first chapter and the first section until the last chapter and the schedules. If we have grown to positions where we need to make amendments or alterations to provisions of the constitution, it's been going on. That's why we have the National Assembly. But then, like someone also called in and said, we wonder whether they really do understand that they can use the power of legislation to address mischiefs and challenges in society. That's why the legislature is there. All the issues we have, the executive is ordinarily there to implement provisions of law. That's the structure of government.
Yeah, but the executive is not doing that. That's why we have at least there are 3 groups on strike right now. The executive is not doing that. The judiciary, they say they're not financially autonomous. So we're just going around in circles. And the local governments, the state governors are on their neck saying, no, you cannot be autonomous. And they're asking the federal government, give us more powers.
And it goes back to what that other caller said and what I've also emphasized, that it's come to the point where we really need to emphasize more of the people driving the wheel, because we have seen clearly that these people have just failed, and impunity is the watchword there. Now, Look at what you've just said. The governors really have just deliberately refused to comply with provisions of the Constitution. Some may think that those questions of autonomy are questions that are being raised now. No. We have had them in our constitutions like a decade ago. The first alteration to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, I think it's about 2010. And then it very clearly addressed all these issues, and that, to a large extent, would have addressed not less than 50% of the questions of devolution of powers. Even if we know that we still have a number of items in the exclusive legislative list under the second schedule of the Constitution, legislative powers, to agitate so that we take them off and make them concurrent or even impact. But these issues are issues that are already there in our laws. Then we have a set of emperors in the guise of governors who themselves are just heads of one arm of the government, the executive. But they have so arrogated powers and so demonstrated impunity to the level that is sickening and disturbing that we seem to live in a country as if we don't have laws. If only we have these governors sincere enough and having the will and the interest of the people to drive and manage the laws as we have now, we'll only be talking about fine-tuning our laws and to get better. But right now we do exist as if we don't have any. What is it, dear Enoh, that governors have found really very difficult to comply with the provisions of the Constitution to ensure that the judiciary is independent financially, to allow that the local governments function? Do you know, like someone we call even identified that if we have functional local governments, much of the issues we're even agitating now will be addressed, including development by local government. The functions of the local government as provided in the Constitution. The local government is created under Section 7 of our Constitution. And that same Section 7, subsection 5, talks about the functions of local government and refers us to the 4th schedule of the Constitution, where you have a long list of functions of the local government. But people think that the local government was just created there and then the Constitution didn't provide the structure of the functions of the local government. No. Or the Constitution didn't provide the administration financially of the local governments. No. There are provisions as to the sharing of allocation to the federation account between and amongst the federal government, the state government, and the local government. The local government, very emphatic. Meaning that even the allocation from the federation account, the local government is considered. But that is fair and just, it's reasonable, because revenues come from actually the local government, not state government.
Yeah.
The revenues that are derivable from my village is in a local government and gets to the federation account. One thing may shock you again. The Constitution went further to say that even revenues that are generated in states, and all this will shock you,
IGR.
that even revenues generated in the state, meaning that in River State, for instance, the revenues generated internally in River State are expected to be distributable between the River State government and the local governments in the state. Do they do that? Do the state governors do this devolution of powers? Do they do this fiscal federalism within the states? It is in the Constitution that the revenues are clearable to River State government in the River State Consolidated Revenue Fund should be distributable and shared between River State government at the state level as if it's the federal government and the local governments. Does anybody talk about that? Do the governors share monthly the revenues? They don't declare the revenues that are accrued in River State and share it to the three local governments? But the federal government will declare how much revenue that is got in any month that is available for distribution amongst the tiers of government. So who are these people really calling for devolution of powers? What is the sincerity? It's just because they are taking advantage of the ignorance with respect to Nigerians, of a greater number of Nigerians. That do not understand that even these things are already there in the law. And so we're not demanding the governors to do this. Can we demand the state governors to say, how much have we generated in my state in this month? Have you distributed the share to my local government in addition to whatever that the local government was to get from the federal government? And let me see whether my local government will not begin to do the health centers, do the primary education, and do the roads. These are functions of the local government in the Constitution. Roads, street lights. If they are not tarred roads, what about what we had then in 1985, like the deep-free roads, where you could have an access road and you open it up and grade it from season to season? and make sure that communities link. But communities are making efforts, opening up roads between forests amongst them. What are we talking about?
All right, Henry, please stay on the line. Let's take a few calls. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0009. Barrister Give Choco says, I'm happy that political partisanship is being thrown to the wind. Is that the case? Really? Well, he's referencing the governor's meetings, and he says they all say no to open grazing. Normal herders have been here with us since birth until the armed herdsmen arrived. If at all they're genuine businessmen, let them peacefully acquire land for ranching, so our people who are predominantly farmers could also do farming on their ancestral lands. You know, I like that you brought this up, because really for many years we've had herders, move around with their cattle. So what's changed? Perhaps that's another conversation. 0817-923-0002. Good morning.
Hello, no, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is OG and I'm calling you from Alakaya. Yeah, I love the way your guest has just explained and talked about the whole thing. If you ask me, here is a contention. Is the state government or state governors, are they the friend to the masses? Or is the federal government a friend to the masses? Because I think this is what they are trying to fight. Trying to portray themselves, showing themselves. The federal government haven't said that local government should have the autonomy. And at the end of the day, the governors have said, no, we want more powers from you, the federal government. So I want to ask your guest, who is the friend or the enemy to the masses? Thank you very much.
Who is the friend or the enemy? If the local government is not working, then nothing is going to work. And really, he referenced what someone had said. If we had more money for local governors to do, they're local governors to do what they're supposed to do, and then their jobs, there's school, there's light, there is. I mean, the enabling environment we yell about on radio every day. If they provide it at the most basic level, then nobody's going to come to the city to look for what's not here. How will all what your guest is saying work, where a state governor picks and buys forms for them before getting to office? Obina is asking. Ekine?
That for me, that is the aspect of, if at all, I consider restructuring. It is about institutional restructuring. And in that regard, that's why I said earlier that when we say restructuring, it's more conceptual than concrete. We should begin to conceptualize these things differently. Is it the institutions we have that we should restructure? Is it the legal framework that we should probably amend and alter? That is an aspect of restructuring our legal framework. Or is it the system of governance? Do we want to run a regional system or the state? So I think we have a structure. Now, the question that a young man, the caller, asked is whether those who are elected into power, maybe let's take the legislature, for instance, and that happens even in my state, that they will even be speaking for the governor, for the executive, because when they reflect how they got into office, they felt that, someone bought my form, someone sponsored me into that office, so I wouldn't want to even make a check or give a flying fuck about whatever he's doing. Please, pardon me. Do they realize that they actually are representing the people? They do not, of their constituencies. They think that haven't gone there, that they've gone there to represent the interests of the governor of that state. And I mean the 36 states. I'm not exempting any. If I make reference to my state, it's because I'm here. And it disturbs me because I'm an indigenous of River State. And I have a community that is here, that is neglected. So if the state houses of assembly will just attempt to be up to their responsibility, I think that executives will not be the emperors that they are now.
Yeah, but again, it's the same thing they're talking about at national level, where you have Ahmed Lawan telling the executive that, or the president, that will do whatever it is that you want. We're going to, work with you amicably. And then at the state level, it looks like it's the same thing. So somehow they arrange their people into the assembly, and then they only gather when they want to say amen. Yeah? The eyes have it all the time. So they're not even having robust conversations.
It's not exactly that way. No, can I tell you? Take the national, like someone asks, who is the enemy? Is it the federal or the state? I would always say it is the state more. Now, the comments of whoever is the head of any of the arms of government to the effect that they will work in synergy. It is the expectation of the fundamental principle of separation of powers, really, that though they are separated, but they are mutual. So to say that if a state house of assembly says that whatever the governor brings, we will consider and do our legislative work in such a way that we enhance governance, right?
You see, Ekine, the second part of what you said wasn't part of it. It's just the first part. They're not working to ensure that there is good governance or there's better governance. That's not what it is.
Well, that wouldn't come from their pronouncement. It should come from what
the actions. Yes.
Action.
But are we seeing? What are we seeing? What are we seeing?
What are we seeing? That's the question. We're seeing nothing, but at the national and at the state level. But someone in comparative basis, someone asks, who is the finder? Who is the enemy? That's the only area I want to probably do is little analysis here. And now, can I tell you one thing? No president in Nigeria, and we always do. Even the governors join in criticizing when a president spends ₦1 billion, perhaps not appropriated. The kind of outcry that goes around. So what I mean that the National Assembly in Nigeria, you know why it's a bit relatively effective? It's because of the multi-political parties that occupy the seats there. So you find a situation where even if a senior president says that and thinks that he would always romance with the president, when they come back to the floor of the National Assembly, you find a situation where it is only monies appropriated for expenditure that the president is legitimately allowed to expend. And that is what is in the Constitution. Come back to the state in comparison. Look at what is happening in the respective states. You see somebody wakes up one day from one side of the bed and decides to do anything, drawing funds in such a manner and amount that it is even way beyond what would be in the contingency fund. So you ask the question, where is the National Assembly asking the question to the governor? Did we appropriate for this project for the financial year?
Assembly,
Did we provide for funding of this project for the financial year? It doesn't come. In the National Assembly, it is not so. Nigerians join to even make the complaints if they got a president in the years past and even now spends ₦1 billion in a manner that is not appropriated. Again, talk about the financial autonomy. We have never heard the National Assembly being probably, okay, if the president likes one day, he buys vehicles for members of the National Assembly. No. Or goes to renovate the National Assembly. No. Why? Because their finances are there at first instance.
All right.
And they get it. But here you will find a situation where State House of Assembly may be rotting away and decaying. It's until the governor decides to renovate that probably there will be renovation. Or one day you will hear that the governor has bought vehicles for members of House of Assembly, bought vehicles for judges of the High Court. That is not how we are structured, really. So if you ask me, we have a big problem at the state levels. If we get it better at our state levels and local government, we'll get a better Nigeria.
All right. Thank you very much, Ekine.
Not about whoever is at the head today at the federal government. We have a semblance of a better government. I'm not talking about satisfying our welfare and security needs, but in the aspirations of what we designed our constitution and our laws to be, a semblance of a better government at the national and federal level than at our state levels. Nothing is happening at the state levels, nothing is happening at the local government. We just have one emperor elected, and it decides whatever happens at any time.
All right, that's all we can take this morning. Thank you, Ekine, for your time. Commercial has to play, and then the news at 9 will come. My name is Enoh Ogbevire. Thank you for joining the conversation. We'll keep the conversations going on Twitter and on Facebook at Nigerian4PH. Good morning.